All right. Welcome to Real Talk Podcast, where we talk about starting, growing, and exit plans for real estate and mortgage sales business. Today I have John Gianniosis. I pronounced that correctly, right, John?
Money, dude. John Gianniosis. Yep.
John Gianniosis. It's spelled kind of different than it sounds, I noticed, but cool. I'm glad I got it right. So John Gianniosis, we actually go back a ways. We used to work out together at Sunset Park in Las Vegas, like I don't know, 10 years ago or something, man. And I've seen him evolve from moonlighting as a nightclub promoter to getting into real estate, and now he's got this team, it's like 7 people strong, and just killing it in the real estate game. And excited to have him on this podcast and just kind of talk to us about what that kind of success looks like, how to get there, and where he's going next. John, I think I got you pretty well covered. So, the intro. So why don't you go ahead and kind of do your own introduction as well, if you could.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Trevor. We do go back a ways back at Sunset Park where we had those early morning, box jumps and burpees and all those craziness that you guys put us through, which is awesome. Thank you for getting that, set in your mind so that every day is a training and fitness day, which is cool for real estate too.
Absolutely,
Um,
man.
Yeah, so just overall, guys, licensed in 2009. My background is food, beverage, bartending, waiting tables. Worked at In-N-Out Burger from when I was 16 to about 20, which I love those days because that was the first company that ever, structured me financially in order to buy my first house when I was 22. And I remember putting down like $9,000. I thought my whole world was over. Like that's all the money I had. And I put that 9,000 down and I'm like, cool, so what now? And so much, you learn so much as far as just lending and how to make your payments and how to, like I would pay interest only for a long time. That's another conversation for another time. But yeah, the real estate team's looking good. I've got my 4 agents. I got my executive assistant. I got my virtual assistant. I'm getting ready to hire an inside sales agent. I got a Zoom meeting with him at 4 o'clock. Business is tight, just like everybody. We're all feeling it. And I'm curious to see what you're seeing, what you're feeling from your point of view. And I'm happy to share mine.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, we'll definitely get to that. I'd like to kind of dive in, back when we, kind of met, you were, like I said, you were just getting into real estate, I think. So, that was about 2010 or 11. So you'd only been in real estate for a year or two. And I remember you were working as a nightclub promoter to kind of supplement your income. And, I'd like to hear a bit, like dive a little bit into like how things were for you at that time and what you did to really start, to be able to step away from your side hustle and nightclubs, like what you were doing to grow your real estate business to get that consistency.
Yeah, great question. I remember that like it was yesterday. So here's what I did when I was off of work. I would let's just say I remember working swing shift. I would get off around 11:30, but by the time we cleaned up and did the tips and closed out our register, it was like 1 or 1:30 by the time I got home, right? So I would go to sleep and I would only work with buyers at that time because at that time there were no real listings. We were in a shifted market where everything was a short sale or a foreclosure. So I didn't have those relationships with the banks at that time. So I was just a legit real buyer's agent that would just show buyers properties that possibly could qualify. A lot of them couldn't. But then we were competing against all cash offers because the values were so cheap. But I didn't know any better, right? I just thought it was normal to sell like $120,000 home or $80,000 home. And I'm just like, I just got used to writing 15 offers, 18 offers, 22 offers. And I'm like, this is just part of the game, right? And as I started putting those buyers under contract and closing those deals, little by little, I started getting comfortable with the selling process, right? That's why it's important to take care of your people, follow up with them. And then, when they turn around and say, hey, John, we want to sell our property. And I'm like, well, you guys really bought that house at 125,000 or 160 or 210. And now it's doubled and tripled, right? Especially in 2020 and 2021. So my mindset was just work with buyers. And then I was like, how do I figure out how to build my confidence? Because real estate is a confidence game. And so I would, I had coaches at the time, not big baller coaches. These are just like mentors that wanted to help me because I was hungry and I was pushing myself. So they gave me advice and supported me, but it wasn't like I was paying because I couldn't afford a coach at that time. So I would go in after hours. So sometimes I would get off early, go to the office at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I'd practice my scripts. And I'd literally put my phone in front of the, in front of the computer, just press record. And I would just be like, hey, my name is John and I'm in real estate. And I noticed your property showed up as an expired listing. And this is how I can help you. This is what we offer. And I would just get so robotic and consistent with it and just be like, this is just something I have to know inside and out. Because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself that I would be skilled enough and educated enough because I just didn't have that training. So I was just like all out work everybody, like I've always done. I'll just out hustle you. And then next thing I know, I'm like learning these scripts and people are like, how do you just say it like it's no problem? So yeah. I put the time in. I just like 1 or 2 hours a day. I remember being in front of the computer, practicing my scripts. And then now when I practice with my team, they benefit from the fact that there's a way to do it appropriately, right? I always go back to like layup drills in basketball. Anybody can do a layup, but can you do it systematically where you're doing the same process all the way to the rim? You lay the ball up, you go all the way back around to the other rim, and you guys do it and create that foundation and the basics. Like I'm the basics guy, dude. I'm like, we'll go back to the basics and I'm gonna show you how to tie your shoe because you just don't get it. Like you can fake it all day and that's okay. But when you get called out, you're like, you're lost. And at the end of the day, in the long term, it really does hurt your integrity with yourself and your reputation if you fake it so much and you get caught.
Right. That's so you were basically, I mean, were you like just reopening the obviously expired, right, for listings, but when you were working with buyers, how were you getting them? How were you getting buyers in the early stages?
I didn't have money for internet leads, so it wasn't that. I definitely was a door knocker, right? And I still am. So I would go hit the doors. I would go and I would take referrals from other agents that didn't want to work with buyers in the office. So, dude, they would be like 50%. And I'm like, cool. And I just didn't even think twice. I was like, take it. Like I got a buyer. I can put somebody in my car and show them properties, all good. So I look back and I'm like 150,000 times 2.5 or 3%. And I'd be making like $900 to $1,200 after that deal was up. And I was okay with it because I needed that experience. And then eventually I built it off referrals and, built those relationships. But yeah, they would just give me cold leads and be like, hey, dude, here you go. And I'm like,
Okay.
all right. Nah.
That makes sense. All right. So you're just taking everything you can get, knocking doors, chasing expireds, practicing scripts.
Yeah.
And then so now the referral business starts coming, right? And so did you start dabbling with other mechanisms like paid internet leads, things like that?
I've never really been on Zillow. My website was never really super strong. I honestly, dude, it was grit and hard, like sweat equity type of work that I did. And I just showed up. Like I made it a non-negotiable because I was never going to go back to working for somebody or a job again. And yeah, did I get my ass kicked? Absolutely, dude. I stayed with my sisters for 3 years. I stayed with my parents for 1.5 years. I was in the red for like 2-3 years where I had nothing. Like I was like asking for money to eat. So it wasn't pretty, right?
Wow.
But my mind was right. Like my mind was like, I could do this, right? This is a people business. This is a skill set business that once you gain the confidence and you can actually perform and treat people like your family, right? So there's no transaction that I ever just say that's a layup and don't worry about it. Like I treat everybody like sisters or family, no matter what.
Okay. All right. So wow, that's solid, man. So it sounds like, I mean, even now your business practices or your methods for getting business have not changed much. You've just been doing it for so long that now you have this much larger business than you had back in 10, 11, 12. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So referrals came through. I started to gain confidence when I would ask my, bartender friends and cocktail waitresses and nightclub people, because at that time it was a little bit different. It wasn't as intense where like real estate is cool and, like everybody, can have 3 licenses and do all kinds of stuff. Like it was, you're the guy. Like as much as there was a lot of real estate agents out there, but if you showed up and you performed and you took people out, you were qualified. So then I started picking up those referrals. Then I got my bartender friends to refer me, my cocktail waitress friends, and little by little, I started seeing, okay, I can maintain business, not consistent, but I can do some sort of business. And uh, yeah, I started getting confident with other real estate agents. So a lot of real estate agents would give me referrals because they didn't either have the time to go out or they didn't want to work with those buyers. So when you think about it, if you put like 5 people in your pocket that are licensed real estate agents that trust you to take out their buyer, because at the end of the day, they still want to close the deal, right? They can't just hand out like to like a lame agent that doesn't show up. So they knew I was hungry. They knew I was working, and they would just be like, you want this lead? You want this lead? Then those 50% referrals came down to like 40 and 30 and then 25%. And then I started building my business that way.
Okay. Okay. When did when did you start really feeling pain point? I mean, at some point you had to get so busy that you had to build a team, right? So like, what were the pain points that you were going through when you hit that realization?
I mean, I guess that's when you find yourself working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and you're just like, okay, I would go home, shower, maybe get a quick workout in, and I'm like going to bed. And so all my stuff that I would do in the past went by the wayside. I was like, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm like working." And so I still work hard like that every day because, as a leader, I don't know who's going to be watching this, but I mean, I'm sure there's going to be regular agents that are growing, and then there's going to be leaders that are looking to say, what is this guy doing? Right? You have to be present. You cannot hide. We can't sit there and say, I'm cool. I've been doing this for 12 years and you go do it. Like I literally have to be in the line of fire with them doing the work. So I'll tell you really quick. Just last week, we created what we call our WIG, which is our wildly important goal. And inside of our WIG, it's income producing activities. No whirlwind bullshit, no hiding behind emails or running comps or doing stuff that you could do at night. This is face to face combat kind of thing. And I know you like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that we go after, right? So our WIG looks like this: 10 a.m. we meet at either one of the 2 offices that we have in town or my condo. But they got to be here at 9:50 or 9:55 or the doors are locked, because we're not stopping our script practice because you're 5 minutes late. So they know that now, right? So they come in, we're ready to go, coffee, everybody's standing up, we're practicing our scripts. That's the layup drills, right? We're going through the process. For an example, here's what it sounds like. Hey, my name is John. I'm only in the community for a quick 30 minutes today. The reason for my visit is because we're educating the community about what's happening in the shifting real estate market. If you have any questions, my team and I can support you in or answer for you right now. All we really want is some sort of conversation, right? Then when we get past that 30 minutes script practice, the night before we prepare the 2 properties we're going to go preview. So this week was my job. Like I had to preview all the properties. So I was the so-called real estate agent showing my agents as buyers. So I would pull up 2 properties that are close to the office that we're at or my condo, and we would go preview those 2 properties, because being out there and knowing what our inventory looks like gives us confidence to talk to our buyers and sellers. So that was number 2. Number 3 is we're already in a neighborhood, so we might as well hit some doors, right? So the minimum is 30 minutes, maybe max about 45 minutes. So we basically, if there's 4 of us, 2 on each side, and we hit that community, and then we go door knock. Then we go to like Starbucks or a little patio restaurant or whatever, and we just kind of hash out what our experience was for those 2 hours. And while we're eating or having a drink, we're looking to meet 2 people, which we call adding 2 people to our data bank every day, right? And so the way we do that is, say you're walking in there, right? And I want to compliment you on your tattoos or your Jordans or whatever you got going on, right? Nice suit, whatever, nice hair for whoever. You just give them a compliment, and then you basically say, hey, I'm just here with my real estate team. We're just wrapping up a couple appointments. Just wondering, do you run a business at all? Is there anything that, we could do to support you or follow you? And then what's your IG? So then we get that IG, and then it's not like weird where I'm like, what's your phone number? What's your email? Are you looking to buy a house? Like, we're not trying to do that at that initial conversation. So then if I get your IG, I'm going to message you and I'm going to say, hey, Trevor, like send you a video through IG. It was nice meeting you today. I know we didn't have a lot of time to talk, but I'm here to support your business. Let me know if you need any reviews, testimonials, or likes or whatever. Happy to help. And again, I'm in real estate. So then we part ways. Eventually, I'll get your number and your email, and then that's it. We do that 5 days a week. That's our wig.
So that's that nurture the relationship that comes next until you get to
Yeah.
ideally a referral. Or so that's awesome, man. Look, I've heard a lot. I've met a lot of agents, because I was in lending for a number of years, so I've met a lot of real estate agents, and I've met a lot of real estate agents on teams, and like no bullshit, dude. Like that is the most committed team leadership story that I've heard. Like for real, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's seriously awesome, man. Man, wow. What what was your transaction count last year for your team?
Um, yeah, last year, well, the team was growing, but it's primarily me, and it was right around 36, 37 transactions.
Just for you?
Yeah, this year's goal is about 75. Like we really want to hit 100, but 75 should get me where 70, 75 should get us at where we're doing, 7 or 8 deals a month. And that's very doable, right? With 4 agents. Like I really think we should be at 10 deals a month. But it just takes time because the market is shifted and it's tough. We got to have these conversations multiple times. And we'll stack up the escrows, but right now it's not there yet.
For sure. So when did you bring on your first agent?
After my coach, like I'm coaching with a guy named Blake Corey out of Temecula, California. And so I've been around coaches since about 2015, 16, right? I've been investing in myself, my business, my mindset. So all of this stuff starts to come together, right? It's not just one person that changes your world. It's everybody, right? Like I'm going back to my Keller Williams days. I'm going back to, talking to Ben Kinney and Brian Gubernick and all these monster real estate guys. And the message just doesn't hit home until it's time for me to receive it, so to speak. Right. So now that I'm open to receiving it, my goal is, okay, when I was with Blake Corey, and I'm still with him, I just signed up another year, but he said, you got to find your avatar. Who's your ideal agent? You can't just go grab like an agent that's got 20 years experience and then one with 2 and then one with 7. They're going to be all over the place. So he goes, do you want to train them, teach them your way, your model, your culture, and have them follow it? Or do you just want to grab any top producer and just hope that they stay with you long enough and you make some money off of them? And I was like, no, I'd rather have the little babies that need the support that I could coach, train, and lead. And then, if they see the value, they'll never leave. But if they do, at least I know that I had my fingerprint on their success. And then when they turn around and crush it, they can go, well, I would have never been doing this if I wasn't with John.
Okay. So when that's awesome, by the way. I've been hearing so much more of that lately since I've been going down kind of, the same investing in yourself path. And I keep hearing that. Who's your dream client? That's just the only person that matters with working with. And so you decided you're finally going to do it. You're going to bring on some agents. So when did you bring on that first agent on your team?
First agent is a kid named Adrian Vega. I say that because I met him when he was like 21 and change, and he's 23 now. So I met him at an open house. He came with his sister at an open house, very shy, very inside the box. And I was just eventually through talking to him, he said, I was licensed when I was 18 with my aunt and uncle that I believe worked at Berkshire or some other company. I can't remember. But he goes, I just didn't really have enough training or support. I don't think they really took me serious because I was a kid, whatever. Right. So I shifted my conversation outside of him buying because obviously he's not going to buy. Right. He's just like looking in the area. And I was like, what would it look like to see if you're possibly interested in rejoining real estate and having like real mentor and leadership? But you got to put in the work. Like you're going to have to put in a lot of shadow time and follow me on listing appointments, follow me on buyers. But if I'm willing to open up the door and let you have access to that, would you be committed? So he said yes. And so we went to Starbucks, we met, did the whole disc profile, behavioral assessment. And he's hungry, dude. He's just like he's like a little mini me, but at 23. And so he was the first one. Then I brought on a guy named Josh that was referred to me through EXP. Then my guy Danon, and then Coach, we call him Coach Mark Collard, but he was my productivity coach in 2012. through him doing a bunch of investments and different things like that, he's like, I want to kind of get settled in with some sort of real estate team, and you're the only one I trust. And so I found a sales manager position for him. And next thing I know, dude, all these positions start opening up. Then I grab like an executive assistant that has 13 years of attorney experience, family attorney. And so she's like bought into the vision. And I'm like, apparently my vision's pretty badass, dude. I was just like, am I just a regular dude, or am I finally starting to figure it out where people are attracted? Because it's not about you anymore. Like, it's about how I can change their lives. And it sounds stupid, I get it. But at the end of the day, if I can change his life and I can change different people's lives in my path, I'm going to be good.
So is that how you attract people to your team? You first you just kind of put your vision out there and then see who comes?
Yeah, well, the standard is the vision now. Before I had the core values and the vision, I would get lost. Like I'd be like, oh, that guy's cool, or that girl's cool. But then there would be all of these distractions, right? Like they might be a single parent with 2 or 3 kids, and it just doesn't fit my model. Like, I get it. People have lives. I need somebody to show up and take this business serious. I don't have the bandwidth to be like, oh, it's cool, I'll go randomly show that property or that buyer because you didn't plan accordingly because you have life happening. Right. It makes me sound shitty sometimes. And I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm just not going to deal with that. And so I've lost some people through that process because I didn't really draw the line in the sand, I guess. And now here's the deal. So for me, to be on the team, you need to basically exemplify the core values. And my core values is grow with 2 R's. And so the G stands for greatness, the R stands for relentless, the other R stands for resilient, the O stands for opportunities, and the W stands for winners. So if I can't get, you at 80% on all of those, you're not on the team. Like, if you shy away from being great or you don't want that attention, then you're not my person. Like, if you're just okay being average. Same thing with relentless and resilient. Are you going to show up and believe that at the end of the day, the activities are going to generate the business, right? Like, we have to have faith in something. And then the opportunities is, I want to make sure that there's always opportunities to grow. If you start at the bottom, you might be my business partner, right? You just got to show up and perform. I just want everybody to have an opportunity to move up in the organization. And then the last thing is winners. Like, the world we live in right now, people don't think it's okay to win. And I think it's mandatory. I think we have to show up and be better than everybody else, and we compete and we fight.
Right on. That's great, man. So look, what's the general structure of your team looking like right now? Like, what does your business look like these days? I hear you're, and I'm asking because you're throwing out, got this guy, brought this guy on for this reason, then I got hit up by this attorney, executive assistant, and I'm hearing all these like positions that you have in this business of yours. So can you just kind of describe where your business is at right now?
Yeah, so I put out ads on Wise Hire and Indeed, and I was looking for, outside sales agents is what we call them. And those are basically buyer agents. In order to join my team, you got to start out on the buy side of the transactions, and then you work your way through to the listings. There is no door that says, oh, I'm full right now, or my business is good. I'm always, always, always looking for talent. Before, I wasn't like that. I would always think like, just get 2 or 3 good people that I could trust and then work with them. But here's the problem. If I have 3 of you that are rock stars and 2 of you leave, or all 3 of you leave, I'm screwed. My whole business gets crumbled. Right. And so I would always think, well, if I brought on 10 people, what if like 8 of them suck and only 2 are good? Then, okay, so now it's on me as a leader to be like, tighten up that window, right? Not everybody's going to be the Michael Jordan of the team. I get that. But in order to be on the team, you got to do a minimum of 2 transactions a month. And nobody's there yet, right? None of the team is doing that. They're barely getting 1, maybe every 45 or 60 days. So it might take me another 3 to 6 months to get them at 2, but you can't be on the team doing 1 deal every 4 months. Like, it's just a drain on the business. So you need to perform, and you need to be hungry and show up and do the work.
So you've got 4 outside sales agents right now, right? And then an executive assistant,
A virtual assistant.
and a virtual assistant, a virtual and an executive.
Correct.
And how are those virtual and executive assistants helping you out?
Yeah, I got them kind of working together. So Sandra's my executive assistant, and I created the vision of how she's gonna get support from my virtual assistant. And so basically, I relay the message to Sandra, and she goes and creates what I'm looking for, the vision with her. So here's an example what she's working on right now. Marina is my virtual assistant, but I told her I wanted an intro video of who I am, like John G. Who is John G, right? So I grabbed a bunch of pictures online of things that I enjoy, right? Hiking, working out, money, gambling, dogs, everything, right? So I just compiled probably like 25, 30, 40 pictures, and I sent it to her, and I said, get some cool music, um, do like a little intro, outro with my contact information. And this is all stuff that I just don't have the time to do. She's literally about, maybe she's going to have it ready by tonight. And so I'll be able to post it on, social media, but that's just more of my brand coming out that says, hey, before, maybe I shoot a video or go on a podcast, like I can post that. And then people will be like, okay, cool. I see a little bit of that guy's style and who he is.
Okay. Okay, cool. What about your executive assistant? What's her primary, like, give me an example with her if you could.
Dude, she is basically the guard and the gatekeeper of my sanity. And I told her, I was like, we talk every night. And then she comes over Sunday when it was football, when football was still going on. She'd come like at 3 o'clock and leave at 7. And I'm watching football and trying to coach her and talk to her about what I need. And she's like, just focus on this right now. I'll do it. Right. So, her job is basically to document and systemize everything. So again, if my job is what does it look like to door knock, we need to put together a checklist, and I'm going to do a video, and inside of there it's going to say this is what you do when you door knock on the door, take a couple steps back, be business casual, have a clipboard, right? Have your business cards ready, have your script ready, and then you go in, boom, 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 and you are not there to answer all of their questions. At the end of the day, the goal should be, hey, those are great questions, and I would love to either come back later this week or have my team member or my partner come with me, and we can answer any and all questions you have. What's a good email and phone number to follow up? Same thing with like open houses. We got to ask these guys questions when they come in. One of the questions I like to ask is, hey, Trevor, do me a favor. Before you finish touring this property, on a scale of 1 to 7, just let me know honestly what you think so I can share real information with my sellers. And then and you're like, oh cool, I could do that. And then I also say, and I would also just like to tell you how we are different than any other real estate agent in the industry by sharing with you our buyer advantage program and our worry-free listing. And so if they say, well, tell me about your worry-free listing, then I could just kind of open up the floodgates and talk to them a little bit. But I offer that so I can say, hey, if you have a minute and you want to go over what we offer our buyers or what we offer our sellers, I'm happy to share that. And then, like set up the house, turn on all the lights, the blinds, put the toilet seats down, spray the house down, get your food out, put up 12, 15, 18 signs. Like they need to know that stuff because then they go there and they're like, well, what do we do? So Sandra's job is to document and systemize everything.
She's basically really like your operations director, it sounds like. Yeah, that's very, yeah. And I totally understood it. I remember when I was in a position where I needed that and I hired one, it was a game changer, for sure a game changer to have someone that operates so that you're free to think and ideate and just kind of attack like the entrepreneurness.
Yeah.
What are your biggest pain points right now in the industry?
It might sound a little bit shitty, but I'm just being honest, right? Real talk.
Yeah.
It's business partners, vendors, whatever you want to call them, that are wanting your business, and they give you all the overpromising and underdelivering shit that I hate. I hate it when people overpromise and underdeliver, and they're like, hey man, this is what I can do. This is what I can do, whether it's escrow, lenders, home inspectors, anybody. But then you don't have any support in building your business. Like I know that my people like love me and they're always wanting to support, and I get that. But sometimes you need a little extra than the average person. Like you need to show up to my open houses with my team. You need to bring value and show them what to say when they're talking to people about loans or, escrow officers or closing deals, just anything. Like I can't be the guy to do everything. That's it. I think that's my biggest pain point.
Totally hear you there, man. There's so many people involved in a real estate transaction, and it's like it, any one of them could fumble it at any time, but to your customer, right, they're looking at you, right? No
Yeah.
matter what, if one of the other 20 people could have done it, you could have had nothing to do with it, but they're looking at you, and you know you need a little bit more support from them in the with those little things to kind of like make
Yeah.
up for that, so to speak. At least that's kind of, you know, I remember how I saw it, man. It's very, very similar, you know, space. Like people are gonna make mistakes. We can be forgiving, but like show up to my open house, dude. You know,
Yeah.
give me some support. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it. All right, man. Well, what is your plan to get? I can't. Maybe you do. Maybe you want to knock on doors for the rest of your life, but I think a lot of agents don't. I
Yeah.
see burnout in this industry. What is your? I guess this is a two-part question. How are you avoiding burnout, and what is your exit plan to get out of real estate, move on to the next thing?
Nice. Nice. Okay. Exit. I mean, avoid burnout. It would have to be, um, I would, okay. So it's going to be a mix of all four things, right? You got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your being, right? Like your universal spiritual higher power, whatever your thing is, right? You have to meditate or do something to slow down the chaos of the world. So body, being, balance, and business. The balance is your key relationships. Who are your significant others, your siblings, your parents, people that you care about. You need to invest time in those people. Like go hiking with them, or go to a movie, or just not talk business, right? Just be with somebody that you care about and they care about you. And then the business part is you show up and you 10x, dude. This business isn't meant for us to play small or just be soft. And I know a lot of people, they're okay with just being average. That's just not my jam. I don't care if I'm doing this for 10 more years, 15 more years. I'll do the hard work. I know that, as you get better, you start to implement more things that are very specific towards generating business, like a hardcore website. Then you start pouring, money behind getting those internet leads. Then you start doing videos and podcasts, and you start becoming like an attraction figure where people want to be in your world, right? But all of that stuff needs you. Like, you just can't step away from it. So I believe that we need to obviously take care of our body, being, balance, and business first and foremost. And then in order to check out of the business for whenever that happens, I'm 44, right? So my goal has been 50 is where I really want to step out of the business. However, I do want to coach. I do want to be in real estate, like almost like I guess like a Tom Ferry or somebody, right? Because this is an opportunity for us when we get older and been in the industry for a long time to give back. And this is where people need that. So I don't want to just go on an island and go kick it and drink my Corona and be by myself. Like, that's not what I'm looking to do. I really want to pick up investment properties. I want to work with hungry individuals who want to grow the team and basically run a seventh level business, like a legitimate seventh level business where I'm still involved, but it's at a different level. Maybe I'm doing community events, charity events. I'm able to support the team through the lens of like the leader and not do all the work.
For sure. I mean, that sounds like a situation where you're not taking calls or knocking doors, and you have
Yeah.
your control of your time completely, but are still contributing and adding value to the younger guys that are kind of where in the shoes you're in now, or earlier than that.
Yeah.
The dream, man. The dream. John, if someone's interested in joining your team, how do they get a hold of you? Where should they go first? Um, Website, phone number, what is it?
So I have some ads out on online job, profiles, but I would say the best way is you can call or text me at 702-513-3322. And then, yeah, let's just set up a Zoom or a coffee and see if we're a good fit to work together. Because at the end of the day, we hire and fire based on our core culture, our core values. And so you might be with me for a year, but if you step out of bounds and you fall short on those and you don't show up anymore, that's how we let people go too. So it becomes really easy to hold the standard and just be like, you checked out the last 30 days or the last 45 days and you're not there. And I want to support you, but I'll support you as a friend. outside of my organization.
Gotcha. So if you're hungry, if you're willing to show up and do the work, then you call that number.
Yeah, I can get you to doing 2 deals a month after 90 to 120 days if you show up and do the work. And to me, if somebody told me I can make $8,000 to $10,000 after splits with no overhead, I'd be open to that conversation all day. And you're around rock stars all day culture, like you're not left alone in an island by yourself. And that's the biggest thing. Most real estate companies and brokers, I don't care who you are. Like I love Keller Williams. All of them do the same thing. They all tell you, we're here to support you. You look around and yeah, there's bodies around you, but nobody's looking after you. Like nobody's helping you individually grow. They give you value, but it's like a group setting type value, just like coaching. If you're in a coaching program and there's 25 other people, you don't feel that connection with the coach because you're like, oh, he's talking to this guy that's doing 500 and me that's doing 45 transactions and this person that's hiring these people, and it just gets lost, right? But when you're with the actual rainmaker and the team leader, can't beat that.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Well, anyone out there that is considering getting into real estate or they're stuck with where they're at, in case you haven't noticed, I know John here for a long time and I've just seen him from a distance, seriously killing the game. And I wholeheartedly would recommend anyone in that position to reach out to you and see if you guys can make it work. So, John, thanks so much for coming and rapping with me on this podcast, man. It's been a pleasure. And we got to get together physically at some point and get some coffee and just rap again. All right, man.
Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.